Hello, this is Lynn. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to do a quick review over how the MIDI commands on CTR2-MIDI or CTR2 dial are mapped into the application that it's controlling. So in this setup, I've got the video of the CTR2 dial in the top left corner. I've got SmartSDR for Mac running on my Mac computer. I've opened up the CTR2 dial controller settings window, and then I clicked on the Edit Mapping button to open the map in SmartSDR. The map in SmartSDR maps the MIDI control received from the dial to the function that you want it to operate in the app. So for instance, I've got the VFO selected on the dial. If I move my finger around the ring and send commands, I'm sending a MIDI control 100, and the app is receiving it and highlighting the MIDI control 100, and it's going to operate the slice frequency. If I change to the next control, which is volume, by rotating the gray ring on the dial, it's mapped to MIDI control 101. So as I execute that, so as I run my finger around that control to adjust it, I'm sending MIDI command 101 to SmartSDR, and it's highlighted that on the map. And it works the same for every one of the controls on SmartSDR. As I select each one and change that control, you'll see it's controlled on the map. So let's go back to VFO. I've opened a terminal session on the Mac and connected it to the CTR2 dial. So as I change the settings on the dial, you'll see that the terminal screen follows each setting here. And I can edit the control type or the label. The control type is discussed in the manual. I'm not going to cover that in this video. I can change the label on any control on the dial by connecting the terminal to the dial and then just selecting the control that I want to change, pressing the L key, and then typing in the new label that I want on the dial. Press enter. Now you'll see the dial label has changed, but it doesn't affect the control that is being sent. It's still sending MIDI 100, and the app is still receiving MIDI 100. The reason it knows that it's set up to modify the slice frequency is because that's been assigned to the slice frequency here. So same with the volume. If I execute the volume control, it selects 100. That's been assigned in SmartSDR to adjust the slice volume. I can change any of the mapping here to whatever I want it to be, so I can regroup this to anything I want. And then I can change the labels here on the terminal program. That's how you match up the CTR2 dial with the mapping in the SmartSDR program. And it's the same with any MIDI enabled application, whether it's Thetis or SDR Control or SDR Mobile or FT Control or any other MIDI controlled application. The mapping is basically the same. And the same holds true for the buttons. If I go to the button menu on the dial, as I select each group of 6 buttons, when I press the button, the terminal will show me what the label is for that button. And that's the only thing that I can change on a button is the label. The buttons themselves are hard mapped to MIDI control 1 to MIDI control 42. So as I select any one of these buttons, I can just press the button and it goes to that button here, and I can change that label to anything I want. Now as I press that button, you'll notice over here it's selecting button 38, which has been set to select the 15-meter band. It's the same as I press the 10-meter button or the 17-meter button or any other button in the button groups. The mapping is determined by how I assign that particular button in the map. I hope that gives you a better feel for how the mapping operates. These same features are available on CTR2-MIDI. The only difference is MIDI doesn't have a display, so there's really nothing to edit on the CTR2-MIDI. The only thing you can do is change the mapping in the application. One other thing that you can do is with the Utilities button, you can load or save your map. So if you've remapped your application, you can save that to your iCloud by just giving it a name and determining which iCloud drive or folder you want it to save to. You can also load an existing file, and I have those posted on my website. So I can load in an existing file into the map, and everything's programmed the way that particular file has it set up. I hope this gives you a good idea how the MIDI commands are mapped between the CTR2 devices and the applications. Thanks for watching in 73s.